was the introduction to chapter 6. And it was a lot to chapter 6, just the introduction part. And now we're going to dig right into it. And then right before I get into everything, just to catch you guys up from last week, that when John is looking at the 4 horsemen. Now, again, you see all these different types of pictures and, videos and captions of 4 men riding on a horse. Folks, that is not going to happen. You're not going to see 4 men riding on a horse. Again, John is doing his best to describe what he is seeing, what he's seeing in heaven and what he's going to see upon the earth, far as with the judgment that is going to come. And so to best describe what he is seeing, he have to give it based off the characteristics of what he know and what he knows through history and things that he experienced while he was alive. So he's doing his best to forecast what he is seeing. So yes, it sounds great, sounds good like Hollywood with 4 horsemen, but again, you will not see 4 men on a horse. Amen. Amen. So this is giving the characteristics of it. And so what we come into with the living creatures and the 4 living creatures, or better, the living creatures was issued a command that was sent to the 4 horsemen out of heaven on their mission on earth. And we could tell that they was on a mission because you see the word go here in verse 2 in Revelation. Now the first 4 sealed judgments seem to be a description of the antichrist gaining control over all the nations in the world. He will do it by raging war, and the horse, the red rider on the red horse, represents a rage of war. By gaining control over the economics worldwide, that is the black horse, and having his opponents put to death, that is the pale horse. So that's what the horse is describing. But today we're going to focus on the white horse, and we're really going to look into this white horse and recognize there are 2 major views about the white horse. Now, the white horse, the first major thing that stands out about the white horse, in verse 2 in chapter 6 of Revelation, it says, I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conquered being on a conquest. Now, the white horse is origin based off imagination. It is pictured of a conqueror. It's pictured as being a conqueror. Since this is the first horse that was sent out at the beginning of this period, we must discover the purpose and the meaning behind this first horse, this white horse. So let's dig into the meaning of this. But there's a reference to Christ riding a white horse in Revelation chapter 9 verse 11. So a lot of people would get the right rider on this horse confused oftentimes. And we'll see here in Revelation chapter 19 verse 11. It's believed that Jesus Christ himself is the one that is riding this white horse, even in chapter 6. But in Revelation chapter 19 verse 11 says, I saw heaven standing open, and there before me was a white horse, whom rider is called Faithful and True. With justice he judges and wages war. So a lot of people will just take that and think that, hey, the same rider on the white horse is the same here in 19 and also in chapter 6. But we're going to learn something very different that make this different and also come against what is believed and what was pretty much taught throughout generations, basically, by history. Okay, now we're going to check this out. In chapter 19, Christ's weapon is a sword. In chapter 6, the rider's weapon is a bow with no arrow. Here we go again in verse 2 in chapter 6. I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow. So you recognize there were 2 different weapons used here. In verse 19, Christ wears a crown, basically. But in chapter 6, the rider that goes forth and sent out was given a crown. Okay, 2 different things. In chapter 19, the white horse signals the end of the judgment. But in chapter 6, the white horse signals the beginning of the judgment. So they're two different things. So it's very unlikely that Christ would appear in both places, especially since he is the second coming, which makes more logical sense to place him at the appearance of the end of the judgment. Amen? Make sure you follow me. Because we're going to dig a little deeper into this white horse rider, because it's going to really, really open up a lot of things. The difference between this rider of the white horse compared to chapter 19. Now, one of the views is symbolize the victorious Christ himself, or better yet, you probably would say is either the victorious of the proclamation of the gospel of Christ. Now, it's argued that the white horse always associated with Christ throughout Revelation. Amen. Therefore, this rider is said to be crowned. Therefore, this rider himself, if we just go by thinking that anything associated with the white horse is Christ, you would say that, hey, the white horse rider in chapter 6 have to be Jesus Christ, right? However, Christ, one thing that stands out, Christ cannot be commanded by heavenly creatures. Therefore, clearly, the white rider in chapter 6 is not Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is not taking no commands from no one. Here in verse 1 in chapter 6, it says, I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a loud, thunderous voice, come. So we know Jesus is not going to accept no command from anyone. So this right here clearly lets you know, again, another evidence that the chapter 6 white horse rider is not Jesus Christ. Now, that was the first major view. Now let's get to the second major view. The second major view about this rider is that he is on a conquest in general. That's his whole part, on a conquest. So when we look at a conquest that's going to come on a place of the earth, we'll know this is evidence of the antichrist is being associated with this. Now, here go the 3 reasons that support the second major view about the white horse rider that can be easily associated with the antichrist. Number 1, he is a deceiver. Therefore, since he's a deceiver, he's going to what? Appear in white. Amen. In Matthew chapter 24, verse 5. Matthew chapter 24, verse 5 says, for many will come in my name, claiming, I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. Now, that's one sign, correct? That's one sign. Now here in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11, it says, for this reason, God sent them a powerful delusion so that they may believe the lie. Amen. This chapter here opens up with the man of lawlessness. Lawlessness means the Antichrist. That's what it opens up with chapter 6. Number 2 is it further argues that is a consistency that one must be related with the other 3 horses. But the first horse that was sent out on command had to have some kind of relation with the other 3 riders. Now, the 4 horsemen appeared in the picture of 4 horsemen of apocalypse that is descending upon the earth into the latter days to cause terrible, terrible destruction. Now, number 3, this is the other view part that kind of jumped out at me. It's extremely important to know this, that when the rider appear upon the scene, he already is possessing a bow. So when he already come, he already have the bow in his hand. But again, we touched on this just a short while ago. But the crown was given to him. Okay? That's the difference. The crown was given to him. Let's go over verse 2 again. It says, I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown. Okay? He was given a crown. After it was given, then he went forth on to conquer. As soon as he gave the crown, he had the bow in his hand. He was just waiting to be released. And when the crown was given to him, that's when the white horse rider comes out to conquer. Now, this point strongly is showing a counterfeit Christ. So this is showing a counterfeit Christ. And anything that's a counterfeit, we know is anti. And so this is talking about the antichrist.